Alrighty. New camera. Well, not new camera. Old camera. Repurposed again. Got rid of the previous USB face camera because it was just an endless nightmare dealing with USB trash. Anyway, we're gonna wait for a few people to turn up. The highlights are still a bit excessive, but that's something I'll work out somehow, maybe. Let's see. How am I supposed to... What the... Now I just broken it. Wow, it's... I have forgotten how to control this camera. Oh well. I'll wait for people to show up. I've just got to reassemble a machine. Got to get it sent out tomorrow. Bit of a dud one, I'm afraid. Sound works. Oh well, that's because the sound's coming through another headpiece, isn't it? John, other John, Roger. Alright. Alright, I have to get this back installed. There's a problem with something on this board and it took out the master PMIC, and I just don't have any donors for these boards, so I can't do anything. I just basically have to send this back to the place that sent it to me, because we waited now for 3 months for me to come up with a good working donor, but I haven't got one. What? The yellow what? Yellow tape tab. What yellow tape tab? You talking about this? Unless I'm missing something, creature. I look extremely white, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm just going to try and adjust the parameters of the camera. Basically I just took it back out of storage and fired it up. Hey Alan. I look extremely white because I am extremely white. Underlappy. What? I don't see any... Underlappy on right side under matte. Genuinely don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I normally am more than happy to annoy you, but this time I actually don't know what it is. Lift laptop. Oh, right, that little piece of captain. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's not intentional, it's just... But it is what it is. I don't know what the deal is with this camera. What do you do? Just... It's complaining about something and I don't know what. Normally I should be able to change the parameters, but for some reason I can't. I've forgotten how to do it. These are among the worst laptops to get the logic board in and out of. There are so many traps on these ones. So many traps. This is half the reason. Oops, sorry. This is half the reason that working on these machines, I charge a bit more for them, simply because of the fact that the extra labor required to get the fiddly. There we go. Finally. Ugh. Hey Teslas, hey Qs. Your ring light's nearly there, Qs? Or are they still not even left the country? By the way, Yinda Yamara, I wasn't watching TV. I was watching you guys say disparaging things while I was busy preparing. I was spying on what everyone was saying. I actually haven't watched commercial TV in a very, very, very long time now. For me, it's basically Netflix, YouTube, and well, that's about it. Every now and then, if Stan is foolish enough and they send me a 1 month free type thing, I'll take him up on that. I'll say, yeah, okay, I'll watch you for a month, and then I'll make sure I don't go anymore. It's like, okay, I can catch up on X-Files and watch Justified again, and then I'm done. Thanks for the freebie. Oh, right, Biblo, the ring light is working perfectly. I found NOS glass protection and an NOS. What's the NOS? Like, I want to say nitrous oxide, but... Hey, creature. BQ 24800 replaces BQ 24780. Well, yeah, I mean, it's possible for products to only be replaceable in one direction. Like if you have increased specs on one, but then the earlier version can't provide that level of spec compared to the new one. By the way, thank you very much to Dreams and the other people who messaged me after last night's Nintendo stream and have organized things for me, so I guess I don't look like quite such an idiot next time. No, really, I very much appreciate sending what you did. Also, the thing is, you've given me now a list of things that I know I have to have, so I can actually, in the future, order a lot more stuff. Have expensive kitty been a big sook? Why is he being a big sook, T? What's he whinging about now? Or is he just like one of ours and just whinges for the sake of whinging? So what's new in your neck of the woods, Yinda Yamara? You should be enjoying the slight reprieve, I suppose, like I am, in the weather. Ah, Dreams is here, yes. Thank you very much. Very, very appreciated. Like I said, I've already started building a list of items, building up my AliExpress cart because you gave me that itemized list. So therefore, from that, I can go, I now know what I need in the future. There was a lot more parts on there than what I expected. So I guess I'll, yeah. No, it's good to know because straight off the bat, I can have more parts handy. So then I'm going to have less of these scenarios where I have to message the customer and say, look, I need to get parts. It's going to take 60 billion years for them to get here. I hope you don't mind. It's freezing cold. Well, what, you don't have much of an atmosphere there, much moisture out there. It's been pleasantly cold here. You also include Wi-Fi, I see. You're crazy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will be sure to, well, I guess, should I reveal everything when the package arrives? Or should I keep it squirreled away so people don't go, hey, how come you got that? Bitterly sighed mother, but it's also acidically corrosive too. We're doing nicely here. We're sort of like getting between 5 and 7 in the morning, as in degrees. So it's quite good. And now that the cat house has been completed a bit more. By the way, Bodger, I put the final FC panel up, so there's no more blue foil showing, and it's really nice in there now. You can, even with the door open, I can go into it, and you can just feel that it's warmer compared to the outside. So it's definitely doing its job well. Feel free. All right, you said it. I'll do my best to make sure everyone feels like they need to have a friend like you. Okay. Anyway, once I've got this done, we'll be building some ring lights, and I've decided I'm going to offer a purchase option on the site for including the power pack, because it seems like a lot of people don't have access to 24 volts or something like that, or it's just not a normal thing. I agree it's not the most normal thing. I just assumed maybe people would initially have a DC power supply they could use, programmable or whatever, with 24 volt output, because most of us have a 0 to 30 up to 3 amps type thing. Anyway, so I'm probably going to bundle that in. I've got a few different types of bricks coming in for me to evaluate, see how they go, and based on that, I'll bundle them together. The only trouble is the international shipping price just skyrockets. I've got to confirm the total weight of the package when the lights get here. But that's the reason why I didn't initially offer the power pack being included, is because I knew that the freight price would just go crazy. Have one for switch light only. What's this? They're very similar. Oh, right, you're talking to Q's. I'd really need to get, if I can get the schematic for the switch light, then I can bundle it with the board view, and I've got a special mode in Flex Board View that isn't generally available, but I've got a mode in there that allows me to then link very quickly link the network names to the pins. Okay, I've got a missing screw here. I don't like that. That's a bad start. Why do I have a missing screw here? That's a bad news. That's a bad newser. It should... Okay, this has been worked on before, that's right. And it was missing multiple screws. Because as you know, I keep everything in my nice little tray here, because I don't like losing these things. crikey, mate. There's like really no screws at all there. Yeah, I don't like losing things at all, and therefore I make sure it's kept all together properly. "24 volts should be in the PD protocol." Possibly, but then unless that can be done in a static kind of way, like as if you can come up with a resistor configuration on the C1, C2 lines, then it's probably not going to be much use to me. It would be nice to be able to do that, but you may have to have a proper PD controller in order to be able to get that. I'll investigate it. As far as I know, there isn't a resistor tie option to get 24 volts. I mean, I can get 5 volts, 3 amps easy enough, but I don't think you can get any of the higher voltages with resistor ties. Maybe there's a bodgy way of doing it. Like, I should go see if any Chinese products that need 24 volts have a USB-C port that can do it. Because if anyone's going to find out how to, hack job it like that, they will probably be the ones. What was that? Okay, that was just it's either mow at the door or something going on outside. What you doing, Milo? What is it? What you doing? No? Mika, it was you. What you doing, girl? You're stirring up the boys, are you? Micro. Alright, that was Milo, but he was complaining because Mika has been following him around too much. Mika, unfortunately, is on heat at the moment. She's the last of our cats that hasn't been desexed. We're kind of holding off as much as we could with her, mostly because we've got so many other pressures going on, and also of all of the kittens that we had, she really didn't exhibit much in the way of going on heat. For her, it was more like, what is this? It's annoying. But this time, it's kind of hit her a bit hard. And we kind of left her to the last two because she's a very scary little girl. Very hard to pick her up. Even when she was a kitten, she was just like trying to grab onto a spinning ball of razors. She's like, "No, thank you very much." Anyway, we need to get it fixed up. It's another $550. But, if you're going to keep them, you got to do that. What's this? Model QZT 204 3000. What's this? Oh, 3 amps. Crikey, that's a little bit of an overkill, isn't it now? Considering you could actually get away with the 750 milliamp if you wanted to. Spicy girl, yes, definitely spicy. Well, Bodger, halve that number, so what do you get? 275 quid. That would be about it. Now, of course, that includes all the various pre-testing, post-op pain management. That also includes what do you call it? Immunizations as well. So, and chipping. So that's it's basically it's everything. And when you sort of weigh it up like that, then it's actually pretty well priced. Okay, so these two screws have no, well, these two holes have no screws. So we'll just mark them red, so it becomes obvious that I am aware of the fact that they do not have screws. Okay, something not so crikey, mate. I've got a couple of black ones there that would normally, it makes no sense. See if they fit here. No, they do. Alright, might be able to do this. I'm thinking maybe everything got jumbled up. Seems kind of strange. It's not like we've had earthquakes here or anything. £160 for that for dissecting, just straight dissecting, and nothing else. At least the nice thing is, you know, it's a once-off cost. It saves a lot of dramas later and expense. We still have one stray cat that we're trying to get to the point where we can actually get him into a cage and have him desexed, because he is causing, yeah, he's got to be causing dramas, and he's got to be out there creating litters that we aren't aware of. But if you think Mika's bad enough, then trying to handle an actual stray that doesn't want to be handled, that's a whole different ball game. As you know what? It's a bit silly. Really should just leave this disconnected. The board is not in an operational state. It's missing the master PMIC. It really should not be go plugging the battery fully in. Okay, and just to show that we're not being unpleasant, nasty techs, we're going to be putting the master PMIC into here, and we're going to make sure it is inside. And this is 2035. I don't really want to stick it on the outside. It's all too easy to get damaged. I think I'll just stick it there. Have you noticed any common faults on these Apple silicon boards? Honestly, probably the most popular fault that I'm getting is a bad lid angle sensor. I'm very happy about that, because the lid angle sensor fault is pretty easy to deal with, and you've got multiple options. First option, like if you just want to do data recovery and nothing else, you disconnect the lid angle sensor and you're done. You can do your data recovery, no more required. Second option is you can try and repair the lid angle sensor, and probably 90% of the time it will work. Yeah, you might have to do some fine wiring and things like that, but it usually works. Third option is you migrate the lid angle sensor controller chip to another flex that's working. I suppose there's a fourth option, and the fourth option is you buy an entirely new flex and then you adjust the magnet on the hinge assembly until it works with your machine. So there's plenty of options. It's a popular failure point on 2442 units especially, and yeah, it's pretty easy to fix. Other than that, mostly just the usual multi-layer cap failures, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, people do lament about the fact that Apple's silicon is becoming more difficult to repair. Yeah, there's more chips on there that you just can't get, in this case like the master PMIC. However, at the end of the day, there is still plenty of times where it's going to be something like a blown cap, or a bit of liquid damage that's taken out something that you can still fix. So while the overall there's going to be a lot of jobs that you can't fix because you can't get parts, there's still going to be plenty of jobs that are fixable. Like, it doesn't matter how much Apple shrinks and condenses and packs in stuff onto its own chips, onto its own SoCs, it's still going to need supporting Jelly Bean electronics like caps, resistors, all that kind of thing, and they can all fail, and you can always repair them. Hey there, Tom Morgan. Okay. So this is going to get a blue mark because I haven't explicitly marked it as no fix, but it's also not something I've fixed. I'll put these adhesives in a little zippy bag for them as well. The reason why I didn't stick them on there is because I wanted it to be obvious that when they open it up, they can see that they have been removed. Alright, you guys go there. Alright, geez, alright, half an hour already. Let's fix up the thing that's making Creature cry. There we go. Looks like it was a protector sheet on an iPhone 13 screen replacement. Yeah, B-Blood. Yeah, well, certainly with me, if it's mostly the caps and resistors. If it's one of the large-scale chips, sometimes you can fix it, but more often than not, from a business perspective and in terms of conserving, optimizing your time on repairs, if it is one of the large-scale chips, it's probably better just to hand it off to someone who else wants to deal with that. Because far too often when it is one of those chips, there's usually a secondary cause, or really a primary cause, for that big chip to fail. And so you replace the chip, it fails again, and then you've got to go looking for that primary cause. So, which, funnily enough, more often than not ends up being a cap or resistor or something going wrong. Okay. Right. Let's get this building going, shall we? Yeah, I really do not know what's going on with this camera. It's doing a truly god-awful job at the moment. And it's not giving me any options on the display that I would normally hit. It just keeps blanking out when I try to do something. Okay, just stand by. Oof. Let's not damage it before I've even started. Alright. This is the camera that Jim sent me. It's a very nice camera. Okay, I think maybe this button. Yeah, I think that was it. Maybe not. Oh, right, that was record or playback. So normally I should get... I don't know what's going on there. Oh, that's interesting. It's coming up the parameters now, but as soon as I rotate it, like when it's rotated like this, the options aren't there. But as soon as I flip it like that, they are. That is bizarre. Okay, now I can at least... Yeah, because I was expecting all this stuff to show up. And let's see, IA plus... Sure, let's go for the brightness. It's at neutral. Let's try 3 EV drop. Doesn't like the fact that I don't have a card in there, but I could put one in there, but it really doesn't need it. Can a camera lens filters be placed on that camera? Probably. It's a 62mm. Oh wait, let me check. It's a leash lens. No, there's no threaded, unless this is a threaded outside. Nope, that's not threaded. Does it have white dude and direct sunlight? Yeah, that's what it needs. Okay, look. Okay, I'm gonna get a card for this because it's ticking me off big time. Isn't that sort of under the Irish settings? Irish on the beach. Cannot be used due to incompatible data. Yeah, big whoop. Can I reformat it? Yeah, formatting the card. Okay. Active contrast, what the hell's that? I actually had to reflash this whole thing because came as a PAL camera, so its 1080 mode was 50 frames per second, and I had to change that to 60 frames per second. I had to go through a bizarro process to get that. Can print a filter holder. Yeah, that's true. I could do that. Yeah. I'm just going to put this back up on the very shonky shelf. It's shonky shelf time. And hope that it doesn't collapse on me. Yeah, I do not know why it's not giving me the options that I want. Okay, so here we go. Dunk. Oh, helps if you plug it in, Mr. Daniels. Got it. Well, I think it's doing better as the white dude now, slightly. What do you reckon? Think it's better? Needs to zoom in a bit. I really could do it for remote control on this. Too much, too low. Too low. Lower. Too dark. No, I'm going to leave it as is. It's not important. In fact, I really do wonder at times why I bother showing my face. It's not like it's selling anything. Alright, ring lights. Aha. I have indeed ordered the 200 by 200 hot plate. So I'm not sure when that will get here. It probably hasn't even been shipped yet. But it is ordered, which means we will get it. So hopefully I won't regret that purchase. It's like it's $100 investment. Hopefully it will be repaid, rather than becoming another arbitrary piece of crap in my workshop like that stupid Vivo reflow oven. I'll probably make more money out of that reflow oven by showing a video of me smashing it to pieces, but the reason why I don't smash it to pieces is because it's probably going to be loaded with delicious carcinogenic crap. Right, we need our stencil. Ah. Hey, there's some. Did you find any M92? Yes, Tom, actually, I found quite a lot. And actually, Dreams has come to the rescue there and has organized a whole lot of different parts for the Nintendo. So basically, I'll become a professional Nintendo repair shop by the time that stuff arrives. And I'm just hoping that I will actually, live up to it. small amount of explosives. You know, I would have to first make some explosives. You can't just get explosives around here. Actually, you could. And there's a few that could be made easy enough, but we don't really want that kind of attention. Okay, just check my alignments. So we're going to do a stack of 4. I'm probably going to run out of paste on this. It's got the feeling that it's low. Yeah, making explosives isn't necessarily a hard thing. Getting away with making them without being thrown in the slammer is the hard part. Wow, did a completely crap job of that. Oh, buckled the damn stencil as I lifted it. It hasn't creased the stencil, it's just a case of, yeah, I didn't lift that very cleanly. I mean, I live in a mining town. What do you? Obviously, there's lots of explosives around here. That's just the people. But you don't need that kind of stuff to make things go bang. And I'm not going to say any more because YouTube, no doubt, probably frowns upon such open discussions. I can ship those today if you haven't. I haven't ordered everything. Well, wait, what? M92BQ. I have us. Let's see. I have ordered those. I think you were talking about the main one that we think blew last night. I ordered them in compliment because I thought, well, I better get some more as well, on top of whatever you were sending. Or whatever you did send, or whatever. Oh, okay, something's going on with the stencil here, sorry. I think I ran out of paste. Now I've done it. This is terrible. You really should actually just be doing one swipe with a proper screen printing stencil and then walk away. AliExpress for me is about 2 weeks, whereas out of UK is usually 7 days. So certainly, like Dreams, if you sent anything, it would be here sooner than Ali would be, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm happy to talk about it on PM afterwards. DM, PM, whatever you want to call it these days. Just realised I don't know where my bit. Oh, there it is. Hiding in plain sight. Stencil away. Ali is 5 to 7 in the UK. That is really nice. Shame it's not like that here. It gets very frustrating when you're willing to pay for... that's the other problem that I've got here, is that because I'm classified in a rural zone, because I'm not Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. Even Brisbane, I reckon they probably want to call that rural. But anyway, because I'm not in a rural zone, they... you go from like a $25, what do you call it, courier type service, and all of a sudden it becomes $70 courier service. It's like, really? It's a little bit unjust. Of all the strips to pull out, I pull out the sacrificial one. Jeez. Okay. Quite happy with how that PCB with the tester tape has worked out. Yeah, we also pay, we pay the GST, as we call it, in advance. And I'm actually quite fine with that, because it most likely means, or has meant, that customs here are less aggressive on the thresholds that they will cut off at. So it's much better to pay 10% upfront when you buy things from AliExpress for the local GST, rather than not paying the GST, but they drop the threshold to 100 Australian dollars, because that would catch a lot of people out. And to be fair, it's advantageous to customs anyway, because they're not geared to handle that number of packages every day, or that number of packages with their system. Yeah, they don't want to have to manually deal with people's packages every day. You know, they just want their money. Sorry, camera over there still. They want their cut and let you move on. 25% up front, yeah. So as you can see, it makes more sense in terms of time for everybody. So okay, you take a 25% hit, but you get your stuff quicker. The government gets off your back. I should say, yeah. It just works out better all around. Oh man, I suck at getting these out. It actually feels like a waste to be using a tiny 212 on this light. Could have easily done it in 1K. Hey Joey, yeah, the vacuum pickup is homemade. it's just an aquarium pump that's been flipped in terms of its input versus output. There's Joey, a bag of those navigator switches. So how's your life now, Joey, since you've discovered that you can make the displays on those USB-C meters flip over? You seemed pretty excited about that last night. How do I like the ProMasters? I'm having to polish the tips a bit lately. I don't know whether I'm just probing dirty matter or something like that, but I'm sort of getting caught out. I got caught out last night thinking that the Nintendo Switch, the M92, wasn't shorted, but actually was, and that was just because, like I said, I wasn't engaging in proper tip hygiene, and yeah, I haven't really used them for much else at the moment. Sorry to say, it's just I still have my other ones I use a lot because I love the alligator clamps on my other ones. The flat mouth ones. Alright, I need another strip. And don't feel bad, Joe. I don't read the instructions either. I just found out by accident because I was trying to just try something, and then I noticed having a spasm while pressing the button caused the display to flip over. So it was more learning by accident than by reading instructions. Reading instructions means you have failed as a person, as a technician. Isn't that half the fun of having a new product, is trying to work out how to make it do what you want, or what you think you wanted it to do, without reading the instructions? It's kind of like asking for directions in a city. It's like, hell no, I'd rather be lost forever. Hell, I don't even read the instructions for my software. I forget what my software can and can't do a lot of the time. And people say, "Hey, does your software do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me check the manual and see if it does." I mean, obviously for the big things I remember, but there are small details that you can forget. Or worse is when someone says to you, "You know, it'd be really cool is if you could make it do this and this and this," and you're like, "You know what? That's actually a really good idea. I'm going to implement that." And you go to start implementing it only to find you already have implemented that, and you're like, "Wow, how did I forget that I actually had done that in the past?" So yeah, I mean, that code base is getting old now, to the point where I think it's about 200,000 lines of C code or so in there, and you do forget a lot of what's in there. So you try your best to document what you can, but at the end of the day, duplicating functionality is quite common. Obviously you try to minimize the number of times you duplicate stuff, but yeah. Yeah, creature. I like to try and hold to that philosophy that if you have to go to the instructions, then as a developer, you have failed in making it obvious. I mean, at some point, there's got to be a threshold beyond trivial things. But overall, it's particularly just getting started and letting people just get their toes warm in the water. Then yeah, you try as much as you can to let them do that without requiring instructions. Just realised I forgot my little jumper. The joys of these aluminium boards, of course, is that you do not have any other layers. You've just got the top layer only, unless you want to consider the aluminium as a fully conductive layer that you can use. Not sure how well that would go. I mean, aluminium is an excellent conductor, but I'm not sure how well the substrate layers process would work with using it as a conductive plane. How often do you need to do GST return? Every 3 months. It's not that bad once you sort of get in the flow of it. There's very little information that you have to give to them. Basically, you sort of give them how much you sold, how much you bought, the GSTs of both, and then the difference is what you either pay to the tax department or they pay you. And in my case, I'm always paying the tax department. They will allow up to 4 layers on an aluminium board. Is that an aluminium board or is that a copper impregnated board? I know they've got another board that has like a solid plane of copper through it or something like that. But I always thought the aluminium board was a single layer. Happy to be wrong. To be fair, it wouldn't really make a big difference for me. I mean, other than, okay, it would save me 2 resistors here. But other than that, not really. Cues, well, yeah, the new ones are coming to you like that. I should have sent you a couple of extras. Well, that sounds like Micro's got his mouse. Baba, you got your mouse? You got your mouse? What you going to do with the mouse? He's got this mouse that's as old as he is, which is getting old. And he just takes it with him everywhere. Oh, Baba. I've got to speak to him in a certain voice. You got your mouse? What are you doing with your mouse? Where are you? Micro. What are you doing? You be nice to that mouse. It's your companion. Yeah. He takes that thing with him everywhere. It's just a little stuffed mouse. Scary thing is we've nearly lost it a couple of times and we cannot find a replacement for it anywhere. I mean, agreeably, we can't just do a straight swap. We can't just take the old beaten up mouse and give him a new one that looks the same, because that's not what he's bonding to. It's just all the smells and the stuff like that. But you can incrementally migrate them across to a new one. few of you may notice that I do not populate C4. That is intentional. That was just a capacitor I put there just in case I felt that I needed to have one there. I do not. But whoops, that was in the wrong place. It's not a big issue. When you're designing these boards, to save you doing many revisions, trying to perfect everything, you tend to lay out a certain number of extra spare pads here and there, just in case. B-Blood, I think I have in the past put up a photo, but I'll do it again because I'd be curious, but I doubt there would be anyone with a sufficiently good copy of it. Because we actually got it. It was one of those sort of toys that is on an elastic sort of string off a stick, so the cat can grab it and pull at it. But we cut that off so that he could just have the mouse without having to fight with the stick. And that, like I said, was like 12 years ago. Okay, third one. One to go. How are we going for time? 21:31. Okay, we've been at this an hour, so hopefully I can finish up at 9:30 or so. Oh wait, it is 9:30. Hopefully I can finish up at 10. Because that will be when Micro's due to have his insulin injection, so it'll be a good timing. Seems to be certain types of cats have a predisposition towards possessing toys and things like that. Like Micro is a tuxedo, and they do seem to, like I said, tuxedos seem to have that as a habit. None of our others have it. The rest of them are predominantly tabbies, so tabbies and gingers, and none of them seem to have that habit. Micro is the only tuxedo we have. Lulu is a jelly bean as far as I understand it, so she's predominantly more white than she is black. Joey, if you're still around, I'll be very curious to see how you go with the USB-C meter. I'm very curious to see whether it actually helps you or just becomes a nuisance. I find them very useful now simply for the fact that I can plug... Yeah, you get so many USB to whatever cables now. And so I can have USB to DC jack if I wanted. I've got PC laptop cable connectors. I've got MagSafe 1, MagSafe 2, MagSafe 3. There's just so many adapters now you can get that will convert USB-C into whatever you need, that it makes doing power testing on devices substantially easier. What kind of packaging material did you use? That is a 3M space. I'll bring it up later. But it comes supplied on a 1,300 meter roll of just like flat cardboard. Like you should be able to take that stuff and flatten it back out and reuse it if you wanted. I saw it when I was digging around trying to find a new packaging material because I was getting really sick of bubble wrap. Main reason I'm sick of bubble wrap is that it takes up a lot of space. It's not too expensive, I've got to admit, it's pretty cheap stuff. And then there's the environmental aspect of it. It'd be different if it was, say, made out of tapioca, plastic, starch or whatever, but it wouldn't really have the right properties for bubble wrap. Um, the other options I could have looked at were self-expanding beans made out of various starches, but you need a big machine for that. Yeah, there was a lot of other things, and then yeah, I found this 3M expanding packaging that you see, and Joey showed it last night too when he was unpacking the box, and it does the job nicely. I did have to make some adjustments with how I package laptops to send back to customers. So what I do now is I put the laptop into a recycled padded bag. So it's just basically chopped up paper in a certain way. And then sort of it's got like a tough craft paper outside. That's to stop penetration issues and just general, like any liquids get in or anything like that. And then I wrap that particular padded bag with the space expanding roll that you saw, and then stuff that into a big cardboard box. Joho, not yet. He just unpacked it last night. He hasn't actually had a chance to do anything with it, other than lament about the fact that he doesn't have a 24-volt power supply for the ring light, or the fact that we don't have the right length screws in M3 size. But to be fair, I sent the stuff to Joey. I don't know whether it was going to be a fit for him or not. I think you got to be aware that there are plenty of times where you can send stuff to people and it's not always going to suit what they do. The product itself might be fine, but if it doesn't work with them, then they're better off, just saying, well, it doesn't work for me for what I do, but it might for someone else. Give it to someone else. Why don't you use air column bags? Again, plastic. I'm trying to reduce the amount of plastic shipping that I use. Balled up newspaper works well. Listen, receiver. I'll put these on flow now and we'll go have a look at that packaging stuff. It seems a little expensive initially because I think it's like $120 for a 1,000-foot roll. But and then of course you got to pay like $150 for the dispenser. But the dispenser is nice. It's a solid piece of metal holding for it, so that was worth it in my opinion. And it's quite compact. Like it only takes up maybe a 400 by 300 area on my desk. Alright, here comes the fun part. Disconnect the vacuum pump. Yeah. Don't forget we've got rework after this too. You don't just reflow it and hope for the best. Well, actually that is what we do. And let's see, set. Okay, 190. Is that micro yowling? Not at the moment. Not that I'm aware of. It could be, and I'm just not hearing it. That wouldn't be a first. I basically can't hear most things. Crikey, Stephen, that's a really rotten rotten ratio you got there. This is going to take a couple of seconds. Okay, this is the stuff I'm pretty sure. Yeah, cushion lock protective wrap. Let's see. PCW. There should be a YouTube video for this. Yeah. Oop. Yep. Like everything reflowed. Anyway, yeah, you can see a 3M cushion lock. I'll let that one cool down. Let's see, let's go back to schematics. Ah, go away, Mr. Beast. I shouldn't be dismissive. The guy is filthy rich. But yeah, it's pretty neat stuff. It takes a bit of practice to get it with the right tension to what you want. As you can see, you just roll it out, stretch it out, and it just stands up. So it's quite neat. I don't get the small rolls, I get the big 3,000 foot roll. Let's see if we can find the dispenser. No, can't find it. Anyway, it does a good job. DigiKey and other places use slightly different stuff. The stuff they're using is, as you said, it's more of a slice, 50% slice simple slice perforation, and when you stretch it, it does tilt up the things, whereas this stuff tends to be a little bit more physically locking in and construction. As I mean, it's not for everything, but for what I do, I'm more than happy to use it. And I think you need to know how to pack it properly. Because if you don't get the layers stretched out and you don't get them locked into each other, and it just sort of flattens out in transport, then it's going to ruin whatever you're packaging. So you got to make sure that it's been pulled and locked enough that it doesn't collapse back down. Wait for that to cool off a little bit more. Maybe just stick my hand on it. No, it's not a good idea. Don't do that. You should lick it. Creature, the problem with the air columns thing is, again, it's a plastic product. If they could come up with that with paper and wax or something like that, I'd consider it. But for me, for what I'm shipping, I like the 3M lock stuff. Honestly, though, I got to tell you, when it comes to packaging, a lot of people don't know how to, as you said, a lot of people do not know how to package stuff. I think the most popular, laughable way of packaging that I see is they start out with a cardboard box, they put the products in the cardboard box, it sits on the bottom, and then they cover it with the padding or the packaging stuffing filler. And it's like, what about the bottom of the box? You should partial fill first, put your goods in there, and then top fill, make sure to go. The number of times I have opened up stuff from proper commercial companies and it's top fill with product on the bottom and the product's been taken the beating of its life. So what is wrong with your packing people? And the other way is I received some very expensive laptops in nothing more than just a padded sleeve. Amazingly, they didn't get damaged. That was pure fluke. Obviously the postal workers were asleep, because normally they spot something like that, they go full Jim Carrey pet detective on it and just kick the living crap out of it. But yeah, but I see people send it, or they will put it in a box, which is great, but then they've got one layer of bubble wrap around it in a great big box, so the whole thing is just slapping around. It's like, how did these people not realize how terrible that packaging option is that they just used for their multi-$1,000 machine? I don't get it. I think, Creature, for me, the main thing is that we've predominantly solved the supply of wood and paper crisis that we had in the 80s through proper forest management. And yeah, it might get burnt. Most of the time it will just get decomposed in landfill. That will be the destiny of most of that packaging, which is fine by me, decomposing it. A little will get burnt, but most of it, I reckon, just gets shoved back into the rubbish and goes into decomposing. But yeah, the packaging thing is so bad that I am genuinely considering doing a video on my repair page for when customers submit jobs for repair, of doing a video of how to package your precious equipment so that it arrives intact. I mean, obviously, it doesn't come to mind for everybody, clearly. And so I figure if at least there's a simple guide with the products that we have in Australia that they can get at the local post office, then I think it might go a fair bit further towards ensuring that things arrive without additional faults. We had an employee return a $2,000 laptop with the charger brick in Australia Post Express. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing I hate, is when I say in my instructions, do not send anything but the laptop. Just send the laptop, no power brick or anything like that, and the number of times they come with a power brick. And I hate that because the power brick ruins the protective margins that you have in the packaging. And so you either have to sacrifice your protective margins or you have to go up to a bigger package. And yeah, that's usually more expense. And expense is fine, but not when it could have been avoided. Okay, last one. Slap that down. Oh yeah, smoking off already. You can't really see the smoke being drawn off, but this fume extractor does a great job. Otherwise I'd be sitting here sucking up all the fumes like Graham, Adam and IT. I don't know how he can do that. It's just like, get a fume extractor, please. He's like, no, it's alright. got my beard, mate. The beard will filter it all out. I'm just taunting you, Graham. I just don't like to see you not have a fume extractor. Amazon packaging, yeah, is bad, and also they're making their boxes very thin. The actual Amazon box. I noticed they advertise now with 30% less material, and it's like, yeah, 30% weaker at least, probably more. Extremely flimsy boxes. I suppose they're sort of going, well, we'll leave it up to the people doing the packaging to put more packaging around. We'll supply the box, you can supply the packaging. I think people don't know how high carriers can toss their stuff. Yeah, it seems that way, yeah. My doctor said these kind of fumes are, what is it? Nocive to you, mostly after 40. What's nocive? I think, is that a incorrectly spelled word there? Oh no, you have to go back on the hot plate. You actually got knocked. I've got a massively knocked over controller here. We'll have to leave that to last. Hopefully I don't have any others that I have to rework. As in using the hot plate. What do you think when sorry I'm going to use... Oh, bad for you. Right, okay, nocive. Okay, I'm going to have to look that word up. I'm going to do that right now, since none of you can see. Let's see, nocive. Harmful or injurious? Nocive. Nocive. Nocive? Nocive. Nocive. Nocive effects of insecticides. Okay. Yeah. Max just dropped a bomb. Stinky cat. Ah. I love it when they get a dangleberry. Actually, I hate it when they get a dangleberry. But we have our butterscotch cat, Mia, long-haired butterscotch. And she has a bit of a predisposition to getting nuggets stuck on her butt hair because she's got long hair. and you know that she's got one. She walks through a room and you're like, oh god, yeah. Ah man, I can't decide whether that is actually exceeding the margins of safety that there. I think it's slightly exceeding the margins of safety that I'm comfortable with. It's a little bit too pushed over to the left, which means there's a chance that that ground pad is actually touching on the pins. Yeah, and you got to cut them off. Sometimes, depending on the texture, here we go, this is parental stuff. If you're not a parent of fur kids or normal kids, human kids, crotch goblins or whatever you want to call them, you probably don't want to listen to any of this, but yeah, usually if it's sufficiently firm and not too embedded, if she hasn't decided to try and extract it herself by dragging her butt on something, I can usually use a gloved hand and snatch it away, and she's just like, hey, what are you doing? But if she's put too much effort into it, then yeah, I have to sort of grab the mass, and she's of course pulling away. She's like, yeah, naturally, and then get the scissors and swiftly cut away the hair. Then she's got moth-bitten butt after that. Yeah, it's... See, like, that's interesting. That one's also slightly off. What a pain in the ass. What's going on here? This shouldn't be happening. Everything else is in... It's just a smidge too much for me. Okay, maybe that one's not so bad. I'll know when I fire them up. They'll blow up. Kids get pinworms. Pinworms. Okay, that's a new one for me. See, now this is perfect. That's perfect. That's the kind of balance I want. Okay, we've got 1. Bloody hell, 1. That's no good. It's just a little bit too far over. It's probably not... Well, you know what we can do? We can actually have a look. We'll get one of them, flip it over and have a look and compare. I mean, there's a fairly big margin there, I got to admit. It's like the design. It's like the designers went, yeah, you know what, this is probably going to result in a few close calls in a normal factory situation, so we're going to put some gapping in there. Playing outside, not washing the hands, eating food with hands, later complain about, but oh, yay, that sort of stuff. Fun. Yeah, so this is my problem here. My problem is that you see how big that pad is? That's too big. I need, funnily enough though, I got this outline from the website itself for this product. So you can go along and it says, you know, build the outline for whatever it is that you've purchased. And it's supposed to be the proper one. But in my opinion, that is way too big. Like, that's probably like 25% larger than the pad itself. And so it leaves me with some risk. It might be okay. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? I suppose I should actually fire it up. Okay, let's see if we can simulate this. So we can get to about there before we're going to run into real risk. So about a 1/3, 2/3 shift. Yeah, I don't know why they did that, creature, because like I said, I mean, I got it from the site because I thought normally I would draw my own outlines and pads because it's, you know, that's just what you used to do with Eagle PCB and stuff. But I'm looking at that and inspecting, yeah, I would definitely cut back, probably at least back to there to give a better margin. And that also explains maybe why it's drifting so much, because it's got this pad to float on, and so it goes, well, there's no reason I can't float over here or float over here, but if I cut that down, it should tightly constrain it. It's not my fault. I got it from the site. So it's basically the manufacturer's fault, sort of. They're probably like, well, you're supposed to check this shit. I would probably move this one. I feel like that's at the limit. This one I feel is okay, but I'll probably move it anyway. It's interesting, it's not ISO compliant. Creature, since when do manufacturers care if it's ISO compliant? You live in a fantasy world, my man. I think the hardest thing here for me is that while I've got this on the hot plate, I can't use the microscope to inspect it. Intern did the footprint. There you go. That's the way out. Intern did it. Creature, were you interning there that day? No. What it is, yeah, I'm gonna switch this. Okay, it is off. I'll show you how it happens. Let's see. So what is this? This is a Cat 4104. Oh, crikey, micro. Okay, 10 o'clock. Okay, so you get your product and whatever, and then here you go and get your symbols done for it. That's interesting. Their pad is actually quite a bit smaller. They have updated this since I got mine. Jerks. So yeah, you go down. You cancel. Ah, damn it. Anyway, you download it through that, and it's supposed to come from their approved source. Looks like I will. Looks like I will be redoing that one. Unfortunately, I've got 100 of these that I've already spun, so I'll have to use these ones up. But on the next revision, I will obviously amend that. They probably had complaints. That's quite possible. It's definitely different now on the site compared to what I've got. I'll have to have a look at my Eagle one and see what it looks like. I mean, obviously it works, but I would say that's the reason why it's a little unpredictable with drawing at either side. Well, it's not so much that they're downloaded online, because they are supposed to be from the official. They're supposed to be official footprints, so to speak. Just like official schematics. But for years, for years you'd do your own footprints, and then it was like this service came on, and you're like, oh, good. Crikey, mate, taking forever, eh? But then this sort of crap happens, and you're like, maybe not so good. Okay, that's good. Just gave it a little nudge, and that's all it needed. Footprint in datasheet sucks. Hilarious. Always nice when the sources you're supposed to trust don't end up being good enough. So do you think their datasheet footprint would actually lend itself to being like this, if done? Pad is 1 to 2 foot long. They recommend foot pad 1.45. Maybe it needs a bigger pad for cooling. Maybe. But it still does have issues. And also, it doesn't really help. Oh, it's not even on. God damn it. Yeah, that's done. Oh, this one's perfect. It's kind of sad that we only got 1 out of 4 go through cleanly tonight. To be fair, this particular one... Oh, crikey. Sorry, folks. This particular one is my own fault. This one I didn't align correctly. Like, I put this one down misaligned with the actual pads. So I can't blame them on that. Once again, it's not on. taking forever. Hello. There it goes. Yeah, I think that's good. I switched over. Quit your complaining. Alright, I'm just gonna go while they cool off. Just gonna give micro his insulin shot. Alright, we're back. Get these out of the way, and then I can get back to normal life. Okay. Alright, well, we may have them aligned. We now have to see if we've got any bridges. Frickin' hair getting in my face. I'm eating snakes. I have a weakness for some kind of lollies now and then. And there's a particular type of brand of snake lollies that I like. Interestingly, they're actually reduced sugar ones. They don't have artificial sugar in them, they just got reduced sugar. And I find I prefer the taste of them compared to the normal ones. Okay, that looks good. Very tasty. That one was a raspberry one. It's not my preferred flavour. I'm more of the green and orange type flavour person. So lime and orange, citrus sort of person. Like a bit of tang. That or dried tart cherries are always a good kick. Probably healthier for me too. Well, gummy worms are different for us here. We do get gummy worms and they're just different. Usually they're coated in something. Most of the gummy worms we see around here are usually sour gummy worms. And I don't mind them, but they are a little bit too sugary for me. There's a bit of something jamming it up down there, and get the tweezers to get that out. Oh god, no, don't send me any old worms. I'll. One of the worst things about being who I am is that if I get sent food packages, I very rarely will eat them because I've had issues in the past with. Yeah, unless it's a food I know I can definitely tolerate, I basically am playing with fire if I consume random foods. So I sort of have to have a pre-approved list, as it were. Now this is getting a bit cold. Some of the food phobia comes from, just the fact that I know that there is quite a lot of food additives and things like that that I react somewhat poorly to. Uh, and the other compounding factor is that knowing that because I am the breadwinner here, so to speak, the direct one, I should say, as opposed to indirect assistant, helping, supporting, if I go down with food related issues, it's very frustrating. Because, I mean, who else is going to do the jobs and make the money and all that kind of thing? Now, food poisoning is a great fear. I've had it at least once, one that I know of. That was in Africa. That was just unbelievably painful. I do not ever want to repeat that again. Let's see. Programming, right. Dude, what the hell? Just noticed that I've got exposed wires, so I'm gonna have to do better now. Whew. I have no idea why. It's almost like rats got into it. Okay, programmed. I would say it's probably age related. These cables are over 15 years old, stored in poor conditions at best. Let's see, right. I might have to cut it short tonight, folks. I'm sorry. We'll test that these work, but then I really need to finish up, and I've got other things I need to get done. I've already pushed past my 10 o'clock cutoff, so sorry. It's kind of my fault because I reassembled that machine. Okay. Okay, good. Well, a lot of traveling people, they get sick from Africa doing street. Yeah, I can guarantee you that is what will happen. Funnily enough, though, my food poisoning came from a classic sort of English establishment, like the Pit and Bull or whatever, or the Cock and Bull, whatever, those sort of popular places. It was just a bad chicken pie, and it was tasted great for all the wrong reasons. Okay, we're all good on those. Those are all functioning. There's no explosions or anything like that, thank goodness. Indian street food versus African. Tough call. Depends what part of Africa you're coming from, because that's a massive continent, so all different kinds of things. South Africa, you're probably not going to do too bad. In fact, one of my favourite meals in South Africa was often the samosas that were being sold in plastic bags at the hardware store car parks or the shopping centre car parks. You had no idea any of the history of those samosas, but they were tasty as anything, and it was a hell of a gamble. But yeah, everybody bought them. Not many people died, not that I know of. Yeah, but that is the biggest thing I probably miss about being in South Africa, is the diversity and the flavour of the food. In spite of the fact that where I lived is 5,000 feet above sea level, that was up in the Highveld, because obviously one thing is when you go up in altitude, your sense of taste tends to diminish slightly. But in spite of that, that is the area and the time where I discovered the best food that I have had. And when I came back to Australia, food was very bland and boring, and they just didn't have. There was just something missing. Yeah, it's maybe it was the MSG, but yeah, this is Africa, not China. So who knows? But there was definitely something missing, and I've always missed it. There was just extreme. It was a flavor explosion when you're in South Africa. Anyway, all right, well, listen, I am going to get out of here and go and do some other work and go have myself a nice hot malt, probably, sit outside, spend some time with my wife and the fur kids, because they don't get to spend a lot of time with me because I'm busy trying to make a living with this stuff, and got to try and balance that up. Sometimes I get it very wrong, sometimes it's a constant process. So thanks all for watching. Good to see that we actually got 4 lights going in spite of the little mishaps. Bit of a nuisance that pad needs to be reworked so that we can sort of keep it constrained a little better, but at least we know what we're dealing with. And once I have the test power bricks, I will put up an option to be able to buy these with a power brick, but obviously you can still buy these now as they are and just supply your own power brick if you don't want to pay extra on postage, because you will get charged more postage in the whole price because of the fact that it's shipping twice the weight basically. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Till then, you'll take care. I'll catch you later.